press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hi everyone, hope you're all doing good. And once again, we are back into the session for discussing the questions pertaining to KCT Grand Test 11. So the questions from botany part, starting with the first question: viruses that infect animals have which type of genetic material? Options you have like single-stranded DNA, second either single or double-stranded DNA, sorry RNA, or double-stranded DNA. Either single or double-stranded RNA, and then the next option, none of these. Right. The same question actually we discussed in the previous test paper, but it was for plants. So once again, recalling the viruses. So these viruses, they have a protein code called capsid, and they may have genetic material either RNA or DNA. So plants or animals and even the bacteria, they may be infected by these viruses. The viruses can infection in plants and even the animals, and they can also cause infection in the bacteria, which are referred as bacteriophages. The viruses which infect plants, generally they are of single-stranded RNA. The viruses are containing single-stranded RNA. And the viruses that infect animals, they may have either single-stranded RNA or double-stranded RNA, or they may have double-stranded DNA. And the bacteriophages, the viruses that infect bacteria, they will be having double-stranded DNA in general. Same question, no? Last paper alli viruses that infect plants anta ittu, ಇಲ್ಲಿ animals anta ಇದೆ. So in the next paper, it may be asked for viruses that infect bacteria generally have what type of genetic material anta. Right. So in the option you have either single double-stranded RNA or double-stranded DNA. So moving on to question number 2. Life cycle of gymnosperm is haplodiplontic, diplohaplontic, haplontic, diplontic. Right. So alternation of generation, what we have discussed, like concept of alternation of generation. So every plant, irrespective of what division, it may be thallophyta or nothing like algae, or it may be bryophytes or the pteridophyte, gymnosperms and in angiosperms also. So these plants, they exhibit two stages in their life cycle. That is haploid gametophytic stage, haploid gametophytic stage, and diploid sporophytic phase. So this haploid gametophytic phase, gametophyte produces gametes and sporophyte produces spores. So these two stages will be alternatively repeated. That means in a plant there will be gametophytic phase as well as sporophytic phase. But depending on what type of division, whether it is thallophyte, nothing but algae, or it may be bryophyte, pteridophyte, then gymnosperms and angiosperms. ಪ್ರತಿ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಈ ಎರಡು ಸ್ಟೇಜಸ್ ಆಲ್ಟರ್ನೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಥ್ಯಾಲೋಫೈಟ್, ಬ್ರಯೋಫೈಟ್, ಟೆರಿಡೋಫೈಟ್, ಜಿಮ್ನೋಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ or angiosperm, the dominant phase and the dependent phase will be decided. So the thallophyte alli, as the gametophytic stage is dominant, it is called haplontic. Haplontic. Gametophyte is dominant and the sporophytic phase is represented by single cell zygote there. And then bryophyte, they exhibit a haplodiplontic, where the gametophyte is dominant and independent photosynthetic, whereas the sporophyte is dependent and non-photosynthetic. Okay, next pteridophytes. In pteridophytes, you can say diplohaplontic. Actually, haplodiplontic ಅಂತಾನೆ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬುಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಚುಯಲಿ ನಾವು ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ pteridophytes ಅಲ್ಲಿ both gametophyte as well as sporophyte are independent, both are photosynthetic, but dominant one is sporophyte there. Because the prothallus, what we call the gametophyte of pteridophyte, the prothallus is inconspicuous. It is few-celled, inconspicuous. Whereas the sporophyte is well developed. It is having like a defined and differentiated root, stem and leaf-like structures. Hence, it can be called as diplohaplontic. Whereas in case of gymnosperms and angiosperms, both exhibit a diplontic type of life cycle. That means in these two, the sporophyte is dominant, well developed, and it is independent, nothing but it is photosynthetic. Whereas the gametophyte is highly reduced and it is dependent on the sporophytic stage in both gymnosperms and angiosperms. Hence, it is referred as diplontic. So, life cycle in gymnosperm is diplontic. Okay, question number 3. Cereals, castor and coconut possess dash seeds. Cereals, castor and coconut possess. In the options you have endospermic, non-albuminous, zoospermic, none of these. So again, it's the concept of endospermic and non-endospermic seeds. So know that endosperm is the nutritive tissue for developing embryo. Nutritive tissue for developing embryo. If this endosperm is completely consumed during the development of the embryo in the seed or complete maturation of seed, at the end, if the endosperm is left out, it is called endospermic seed. If the endosperm is completely consumed, it is said to be non-endospermic. In most of the monocots such as rice, wheat, maize, coconut and some dicots like castor, the endosperm is left out. Seed complete ಆಗಿ ಮೆಚೂರ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೂ ಕೂಡ, ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಂಡೋಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸಂಥ ಸೀಡ್ಸ್ ನ ಎಂಡೋಸ್ಪಾಮಿಕ್ ಅಥವಾ ಅಲ್ಬುಮಿನಸ್ ಸೀಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಮೊನೋಕಾಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂಡೋಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇವನ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಡೈಕಾಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಎಂಡೋಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ರಿಟೇನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾನ್ ಎಂಡೋಸ್ಪರ್ಮಿಕ್, ಸೊ ವೇರ್ ದ ಎಂಡೋಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮ್ಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ as seen in pea, groundnut, so in such plants, the endosperm will not be retained. It will be completely consumed during the seed development. So cereals, castor and coconut possess endospermic seed. Okay, fourth question. Membrane covering the vacuole is termed as plasmodesmata, mesosome, slime mold, tonoplast. Right. So a cell will be having its own membrane which is called plasma membrane or cell membrane. Inside that, in eukaryotes, we have certain membrane bound organelles. So that too, in a plant cell, there will be a large vacuole. and other membrane bound organelles such as it may be mitochondria, and the nucleus, the endoplasmic reticulum, then Golgi complexes, ribosomes, chloroplast, many other. So even these organelles are also membrane bound, such as the mitochondria, chloroplast, and even the endoplasmic reticulum, the vacuole. Particularly the membrane of vacuole, which is also semi-permeable, selectively permeable, this membrane is referred as tonoplast. This is referred as tonoplast. So additional to cell membrane, the plant cells will be having the cell wall, right? So the adjacent cells, they will be connected with the connection called plasmodesmata. In the option we have plasmodesmata, which is a connection between two adjacent cells. And mesosomes are the infoldings of the plasma membrane in the bacterium, which actually take the role of mitochondria as in case of the eukaryotes. And slime mold is nothing but it's a division under the protistans. So the protista have divisions such as chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, then slime molds, and protozoans. So slime molds is one of the division under the protista. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ answer membrane of covering the vacuole is referred as tonoplast. Okay, moving on to question number 5. Segregation of Mendelian factors. Segregation of Mendelian factors, that is allelic factors, occur during which phase? See, segregation is the phenomena which occur during the gamete formation, and gamete formation occurs through a specific type of cell division, what we call it as meiosis. So meiosis, again, it is having different stages. Each stage is characterized by certain changes or certain characteristic features. So meiosis, which occur in two main stages, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Meiosis 1 is most significant one, and it is the longest phase. Further, in meiosis 1, there are phases such as prophase 1, metaphase 1, the telophase 1, sorry, anaphase 1, and telophase 1. So during the interphase, particularly the S phase, where the chromosomes will be replicated. Initially, single centromere chromatid irutte upper or lower arm. When it is replicated, it consists two chromatids, which are referred as sister chromatids. This is a single chromosome. So this is in interphase. In the prophase, they will be going for like a recombination and all crossing over. In metaphase, these will be arranged at the equatorial region. In the anaphase 1, what happens in anaphase 1? So for example, during the metaphase, the chromosomes are arranged like this. In human beings, we say that there will be 23 pairs. So ಮೇಲೆ 23 ಕೆಳಗಡೆ 23 ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ 23 ಬರೆಯಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಎರಡು ಬರೆದಿರ್ತೀನಿ. So chromosomes are arranged at the equatorial region. So during anaphase, what happens? The spindle fibers will be attached to one side of the centromere, only one side. So during anaphase, the entire chromosome will be pulled towards opposite pole. So you have 23 pairs, that means 46 chromosomes. So upper 23, lower 23 chromosomes. It will be randomly arranged. 23 chromosomes may not be exactly maternal and other 23 may not be exactly paternal. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಲೆ 23 ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮು ಮೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಕೆಳಗಡೆ 23 ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮು ಪೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಅಥವಾ 22 ಇದ್ದು ಒಂದು 22 ಮೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಇದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಪೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಇರಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, 22 ಪೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಒಂದು ಮೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ತರ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ಅನಾಫೇಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸೆಂಟ್ರೋಮಿಯರ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಪಿಂಡಲ್ ಫೈಬರ್ ಒನ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಪುಲ್ಡ್ ಟುವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ದಿ ಅಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಪೋಲ್. As a result, what happens? Opposite pole will be having, at the opposite pole you will be having 23 chromosome, and the other pole you will be having 23 chromosome. That is what separation or segregation. So segregation of Mendelian factor occur at what phase? That is anaphase 1. The reason is the entire chromosome is moved towards the opposite pole. Whereas in case of anaphase 2, what happens? The chromatids will move towards the opposite pole. ಎರಡು chromatids separate ಆಗಿ opposite pole. So anaphase 1 is the answer for this question, wherein there is a segregation of Mendelian factors. Okay. Question number 6. During photosynthesis, when 3-PGA is changed to phosphoglyceraldehyde, which of the following reaction occur? So that's the concept of Calvin cycle, wherein the atmospheric carbon dioxide is accepted by the ribulose biphosphate, which is a 5-carbon compound, and it is converted into 6-carbon compound. But of course, 6-carbon compound, as it is unstable, immediately it splits into 2 molecules of 3-PGA, 3-phosphoglyceric acid. This 3-phosphoglyceric acid, it undergo reduction. Okay, before that it will be actually undergoing phosphorylation with the help of ATP, and it is converted into 1,3-biphosphoglyceric acid. And this 1,3-biphosphoglyceric acid, it is converted into phosphoglyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So here there will be addition of hydrogen from NADPH. Addition of hydrogen from NADPH. And when there is addition of hydrogen here to 1,3-bipga, there will be addition of hydrogen from NADPH, and the addition of hydrogen is known as reduction. So the conversion of 3-PGA into phosphoglyceraldehyde, what is that reaction? They have asked. So electrolysis in the option you have, reduction, hydrolysis, oxidation. Answer should be reduction. Okay, next question. In case of C4 pathway, the first step is so in case of C4 plants, the atmospheric carbon dioxide is accepted by phosphoenol pyruvate, which is a 3-carbon compound. CO2 is accepted by 3 carbon compound, which is a phosphoenol pyruvate. So this phosphoenol pyruvate, after condensation, it will be converted into a 4 carbon compound that is called oxaloacetic acid. It's a 4 carbon compound, which is a stable compound. Hence, it is referred as C4 pathway. So, question in C4 pathway, the first step is, that is condensation of CO2 with the phosphoenol pyruvate. So, in the options you have CO2 combines with PGA, ribulose diphosphate, CO2 combining with ribulose monophosphate, CO2 combining with phosphoenol pyruvate. Okay, moving on to next question. Number of glucose molecules required to produce 38 ATP molecules under anaerobic condition. So, how many ATPs are required to produce 38 molecules of ATP in anaerobic condition? Right. So, respiration may be aerobic or anaerobic, and the respiration do not occur in a single step. It occurs in a many steps, wherein the glycolysis, the first step, glycolysis, is common for both aerobic respiration as well as anaerobic respiration. So during glycolysis, at the end of glycolysis, 2 molecules of pyruvate will be formed. 2 molecules of pyruvate, and the net gain of ATP, here it is, you can say the 2 ATPs are formed. So aerobic respiration irali, anaerobic respiration irali, ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ glycolysis ಅನ್ನೋದು common. So if it is aerobic respiration, if there is availability of oxygen, pyruvate will further go for the oxidation, that is like a preparatory reaction, then into Krebs cycle, and finally oxidative phosphorylation. If oxygen is not available, this pyruvate will undergo anaerobic respiration, nothing but it may form the alcohol, that's called alcoholic fermentation. Otherwise, it may form lactic acid, that's called lactic acid fermentation. That depends on the organism, right? So anaerobic respiration ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ glycolysis ಕೂಡ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. It's a common stage for both aerobic and anaerobic. So during this glycolysis, there will be formation of ATP. So 38 molecules form ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ how many glucose molecules ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಒಂದು ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಇಂದ so which undergoes glycolysis, one glucose molecule ಇಂದ 2 ATPs ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ 38 ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ? 19 into 2. From one molecule, if it is 2 for 38, how many? That's nothing but 19 molecules of glucose are required to produce 38 molecules of ATP. Okay. Next question. Respiratory quotient is equal to 1 for. Respiratory quotient, the number of carbon dioxide molecules released to that of oxygen molecules consumed. That's called respiratory quotient. For glucose, C6H12O6, in aerobic respiration, it consumes 6 molecules of O2, then releasing 6 molecules of CO2, 6 molecules of water, and energy. So sugars ಅಥವಾ carbohydrates ಅಥವಾ glucose ಅಂತ ತಗೋತೀವಿ. So 6 molecules oxygen consume ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, 6 CO2 ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ respiratory quotient ಏನು? 6/6. That will be equal to 1. So respiratory quotient is equal to 1 for sugars. Okay. Bolting is a function of ethylene, abscisic acid, auxin, and gibberellin. So all these are the hormones. Plant hormones are the plant growth regulators. As we know that each plant growth regulator is having their own function, and one of the hormonal function is bolting. So what exactly is bolting? In case of some plants like cabbage, there will be formation of rosette of leaves. Rosette of leaves. So you might have the leafy cabbage you might have seen. So where the whatever the rosette form ಒಂದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಓವರ್ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲೆಕೋಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಒಂದು ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್. The stem will be condensed. It will not be elongated. Stem will not be elongated. It will be condensed and the leaves will form rosette form. Stem condense ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. The leaves form the rosette structure. So these are the biennial. In the first year, there will not be any flowering. In the second year, what happens? The stem gets elongated. So normal leaves will be formed. But if you are applying gibberellic acid or gibberellin in the first year itself, if you are applying gibberellic acid in the first year itself, in the beginning itself, there will be increase in the internodal length or elongation of the stem. The rosette form will be broken. That's what called bolting, and it can be induced by using gibberellin or gibberellic acid. Okay, question number 11. Gamete transfer occur through water in all of the following except pteridophytes, algae, fungi, and bryophytes. See, gamete transfer is one of the most important event during fertilization. For fertilization, in plants such as the lower plants, algae, and even the pteridophytes and the bryophytes, the gametes are transferred generally through the water. But whereas in fungi, they are actually released into the air and they are transferred through air or wind. So it's not transferred through water in case of fungi. Very simple question. Okay. Polyembryony commonly occur in the options potato, banana, tomato, citrus. Again, it's a simple question. Polyembryony. What is polyembryony? Poly means many. Embryony refers to presence of embryo. So presence of more than one embryo. Presence of more than one embryo is called polyembryony, and this is observed in citrus plants. So generally there will be single embryo sac form, monosporic what we call. Angiosperms ಅಲ್ಲಿ monosporic ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. One embryo sac will be formed and there will be formation of one embryo. Sometimes what happens, the nuclear cells, the adjacent cells for the embryo sac, these nuclear cells they may enter into the embryo sac and they start behaving as the zygote and they develop into embryo. And nucleus, you know that they are the diploid cells. When they enter into the embryo sac, they also start behaving as zygote and develop into embryo. So that condition is called polyembryony. So that is seen in case of citrus. Okay. Next question. A form of asexual reproduction that mimics the sexual reproduction is. It's a direct statement from the textbook. Form of asexual reproduction that mimics sexual reproduction is options you have apospory, vegetative propagation, polyembryony, or apomixis. So that's nothing but apomixis. So apomixis is formation of seeds without fertilization. Formation of seeds without fertilization. Right. Seeds are what generally? Seeds are the product of fertilization. The ovules are converted into seeds after fertilization. Converted into seeds when after syngamy or fertilization. This is what sexual reproduction. Fertilization means there is involvement of gametes, hence it is sexual reproduction. But what's happening here? There is formation of seeds without fertilization. That's why we say it's a asexual reproduction that mimics the sexual reproduction. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ asexual reproduction ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಬಟ್ ಸೀಡ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, which is actually basically normally naturally a product of fertilization. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, asexual ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೀಡ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ which mimics the sexual reproduction ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Okay, next question. Outermost and innermost wall layers of microsporangium in an anther are respectively epidermis. The outermost and innermost wall layers of microsporangium in an anther are respectively epidermis and middle layer, epidermis and endodermis, endothecium, tapetum, epidermis and tapetum. TS of anther, which shows different layers of tissues. Outermost layer is known as epidermis. The outermost layer is epidermis, and next to epidermis there is a layer of tissue which is called endothecium. Outermost epidermis, next to that endothecium, and next to this there will be few layers of cells known as middle layer. And innermost there will be cells with a dense cytoplasm and multi-nucleated, more than one nucleus condition. So this tissue is known as this is middle layer and this is tapetum. So outermost is epidermis and innermost is tapetum. So epidermis, endothecium, middle layers, they actually protective in nature. They protect the microspore mother cells or pollen mother cells, and they are also involved in dehiscence. Whereas tapetum, it's a nutritive tissue, nourishment for developing pollen grain. So outermost epidermis and innermost is tapetum. Epidermis and tapetum. Okay, next question. During microsporogenesis, meiosis occur in what? Microspore mother cells, microspore tetrad, endothecium, pollen grains. So very simple question. During microsporogenesis, the process of formation of microspore from microspore mother cell is called microsporogenesis. The pollen mother cell, which is diploid, PMC, pollen mother cell, which is diploid, this undergo meiosis and it forms four haploid cells which initially attached with each other together. This is called microspore tetrad. Simple question. So during microsporogenesis, what undergo meiosis to form the microspore mother cell. Microspore tetrad is the result of microsporogenesis. Endothecium is a tissue in the anther wall. Pollen grains are the product of microsporogenesis, end product of microsporogenesis. Okay. Moving on to question number 16. The first genetic material could be protein, carbohydrates, RNA, and DNA. Again, it's also very simple question. So, till today also we have certain viruses which have the RNA, which is actually most unstable and highly reactive in nature. So, in the beginning of the formation of the earth as well as origin of life, so these molecules evolved first, in the sense the RNA evolved first and these acted as a genetic material. So, later on, gradually, when the conditions were conducive and they were optimal, so gradually a more stable compound, stable genetic material was developed, nothing but the DNA. So, ಇವತ್ತು ಕೂಡ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ವೈರಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು RNA ಅನ್ನ ಜೆನೆಟಿಕ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಜೆನೆಟಿಕ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಯಾವ್ದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ RNA. Okay, question number 17. Discontinuous synthesis of DNA occur in one strand. That is because of what? DNA ligase has to have a role. Have a role. DNA ligase. There is no role of DNA ligase in synthesis. It's a enzyme which is joining the fragments. It is a more efficient process. There's no meaning in that. More efficient process. Synthesis is what? DNA dependent DNA polymerase catalyzes polymerization only in one direction, that is 5 prime to 3 prime. That's what the exact answer here. So next option, let us see. DNA molecule being synthesized in is very long. So DNA synthesis, discontinuous synthesis of DNA occur in one strand. The reason is the DNA polymerase enzyme that synthesize or polymerize, that can polymerize only in one direction, that is in 5 prime to 3 prime. So the DNA polymerase can add the nucleotides only to the 3 prime OH group, only to the 3 prime end. Hence, it will be extending the new strand along with, according to the template, in 5 prime 3 prime direction only in one direction. See, this is one strand. The other strand, wherein again the primer which is in 3 prime 5 prime, sorry, here. Stable it. Five prime, 3 prime. Right. It's a correction here. So the enzyme DNA polymerase, it can add the nucleotide only towards the 3' end, like this. On the other strand, this is the 3' end, there will be synthesis. Further, when there is further opening of the strands, on one of the strand, the synthesis goes continuously because there is 3' end available, it goes continuously. But whereas here, once again, there will be addition of primer, there will be synthesis of stretches of the DNA, what we call it as Okazaki fragments. So one of the strand is continuous, that's the thing, but leading strand, the other strand is called lagging strand, and this is due to discontinuous synthesis is due to because the DNA dependent polymerase can catalyze synthesis only in 5' to 3' direction. Okay, next question. While analyzing the DNA of an organism, a total number of nucleotides, that is 5386 nucleotides were seen. Adenine of 29%, guanine of 17%, cytosine of 32%, thymine of 17%. Considering the Chargaff rule, what we can conclude? Okay. So it's a virus, that is Pi-X 174, which is having 5386 nucleotides. The size of the DNA is measured in number of nucleotides are the base pairs. Base pairs. When we say base pair, that means it is the double stranded DNA. When we say nucleotide, it's obviously by default understood that it will be single stranded. But however, they have given the percentage of adenine here. Adenine is how much? Like 29%. Guanine 17, cytosine 32. And thymine is 17%. According to Chargaff rule, the number of adenine should be equal to number of thymidine, and number of guanine should be equal to number of cytosine. That's nothing but amount of purine. Number of purine should be equal to number of pyrimidine in double stranded DNA. In double stranded DNA. So if you look at the percentage here, 29%. If it is double stranded DNA, the thymidine should also be 29%, but here it is 17%. Similarly, guanine pairing with the cytosine, if there is 17% guanine, cytosine should also be 17. But as there is no equal ratio here of purines and pyrimidines. Otherwise, specifically adenine and thymidine, guanine and cytosine. Hence, we can conclude that it is the single stranded DNA. Okay. Question number 19. Control of gene expression takes place at the level of what? Control of gene expression takes place at the level of. I think already in one of the previous tests we have discussed this. Regulation of gene expression occur at different level. Particularly in case of the eukaryotes, what we can say, it can be at transcription level. Then post-transcriptional level. Then during transport of mRNA from nucleus into cytoplasm, or even at translation level. So the expression of genes can be controlled at different level. Control of gene expression takes place at the level of translation only. First option. Then you have DNA replication, no way connected. Transcription, none of these. So answer should be here transcription. Even it occurs translation also. But what is the option there? What they are given? Translation only ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬರೀ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್, ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್, ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಆಫ್ mRNA into nucleus, sorry, into cytoplasm, then translation. So precise option should be transcription. Okay. Question number 20. Which of the following alcoholic drinks is produced without a distillation? Options you have whiskey, rum, wine, and brandy. So distillation, you know that it's a process wherein you can concentrate the given solution. So if it is subjected for distillation, the percentage of alcohol will increase. So there are distilled and undistilled, both type of alcoholic beverages are there. The distilled examples are the rum, whiskey, brandy. So in all this, the percentage of alcohol will be bit high. So whereas undistilled, such as beer and wine, very less amount or less percentage of the alcohol, nearly up to some 10 or 12%. Okay, let us move on to next question. Big holes in the Swiss cheese are made by a machine, a fungus that release a lot of gases during its metabolic activities. The third option you have a bacterium producing a large amount of carbon dioxide, and a bacterium that produces methane gas. Right. Swiss cheese is a product of fermentation, and during fermentation it is obvious that there will be production of carbon dioxide. The Swiss cheese, which is characterized by large holes, and the large holes are actually because of production of carbon dioxide in the presence of bacterium called Propionibacterium shermani. Propionibacterium shermani. So answer ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ಲಿ bacterium producing large amount of carbon dioxide. Okay, question number 22. Methanogenic bacteria are not found in options like goba gas plant, bottom of water of logged paddy fields, activated sludge, rumen of cattle. Methanogens are the one which produce methane anaerobically, digesting the organic substances, particularly the cellulosic material. So these are generally found in the ruminant animals, the rumen of ruminant animals, and even gobar gas plant. What we say, we add the cow dung, which is rich in the methanogen also. Cow dung in the gobar gas plant, and waterlogged paddy fields where there is anaerobic condition, there also it's seen waterlogged, and it is also seen in activated sludge. Rumen of cattle, bottom of waterlogged paddy fields, gobar gas plant, and activated sludge. It's not seen in activated sludge. What is activated sludge? Activated sludge is nothing but the left out flocks. So rumen of the cattle, waterlogged paddy fields, gobar gas, in all this we can see, but not exactly in activated sludge. Question number 23. In PCR, the primers are used for polymerase chain reaction. What is the purpose of using primers here? So the options you have extension, annealing, denaturing, any of these. The purpose of using primers is to synthesize or to produce the complementary strand. That's nothing but the annealing step. The first step, what you have, the two strands are separated. That's called denaturation at high temperature. And once the strands are separated, the primers will be annealing to the respective strands. Annealing is binding of these primers. So that's what the answer here. It's for annealing. Question number 24. In which method high velocity particles of gold or tungsten coated with recombinant DNA or desired gene are being bombarded? So the concept of transfer of genes into the host cells or desired cells. We have different methods of gene transfer, such as it may be physical method, chemical method, and even the biological or the vector mediated. So in physical method, we have different methods such as micro injection and biolistic method, or otherwise called gene gun method, and it is also referred as micro projectile method. Micro projectile method. So in this method, we use the fine particles, microparticles of gold or tungsten. Gold or tungsten. Why exactly gold or tungsten? Because these two are inert in nature, they do not cause any reactions in the cell or the host cell. So the answer should be biolistic method. So in the options you have PCR, that's method for amplifying the desired gene. Micro injection is different method where the micro pipettes, micro syringes are used. Elution is the removal of the DNA from the gel after separation. Okay. Next question. Which of the following is being used to precipitate form from the suspension obtained from lysis of cell? So to precipitate DNA from the suspension, we use the chilled ethanol. So in the options, you have chilled ethanol, that's the right answer. Divalent cations like calcium, that is used for inducing competency in the host cells. Ethidium bromide is a dye which is used to visualize the DNA. Then antibiotics like kanamycin. Antibiotics are not used in this process. Okay, next question. 26. Antitrypsin is used to treat arthritis, used to treat emphysema, enzyme, and antacid. Antitrypsin is an enzyme which is used to treat the genetic disorders such as emphysema, which is the respiratory related or lung related disease. Okay. Next question. Question number 27. Choose the correct option regarding retrovirus. Choose the correct option regarding retrovirus. A retrovirus is one which is having RNA as genetic material. A retrovirus. Virus which has RNA as genetic material. So the options you have a double-stranded RNA virus, and then a DNA virus that can synthesize RNA during infection, an RNA virus that can synthesize DNA during infection, a single-stranded DNA virus. So LLA DNA the options so rule out. So RNA which as genetic material during infection it produces DNA through reverse transcription. So in the option you have RNA virus that can synthesize DNA during the infection. That's the right answer. Moving on to question number 28. The site of production of AD, adenosine deaminase, in the body is. So where exactly the adenosine deaminase is synthesized? Blood plasma, erythrocytes, osteocytes, lymphocytes. So in the concept of gene therapy, you have come across this enzyme, that is adenosine deaminase, whose deficiency causes a disease called severe combined immunodeficiency, which is a genetic disorder. So in that concept, you have studied like from the bone marrow transplantation also we can treat this disease, and which is not permanent. But of course, gene therapy is the most efficient therapy for this particular disorder. So wherein the lymphocytes from the patient they are collected and the functional gene is introduced to those lymphocytes, and they are taken back into the patient in order to carry out the normal function. So, the site of production of adenosine deaminase is lymphocytes. Question number 29. BOD, biochemical oxygen demand of wastewater, is estimated by measuring the amount of water. Biochemical oxygen demand. See, BOD, the name itself indicates biochemical or biological oxygen demand. It's the demand for oxygen, it's the need for oxygen. Who is actually requiring this? The microorganisms. Microorganisms are demanding for oxygen. For what purpose? For degrading or digesting the organic substance. ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಬೇಕು. ವಾಟ್ ಡಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್? ಹೈಯರ್ ದಿ BOD, higher will be the pollution. Higher will be the organic substance. If the BOD is less, lower will be the pollution. ಊಟ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಹಸಿವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪನೇ ಕಡಿಮೆನೇ ತಿಂತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಹಸಿವು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ, ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ನೋಡೋಣ ಏನಿದೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್, BOD of wastewater is estimated by measuring the amount of, first option, oxygen evolution. Oxygen is not evolved, oxygen is required here. Second is total organic matter. Total organic matter is not measured by the BOD, but we can measure the pollution level. Oxygen consumption, that is what biochemical oxygen demand. And the option is biodegradable organic matter. So the right answer should be oxygen consumption. Okay. So now we are at the last question, question number 30. Identify the tissue system from among the following. Identify the tissue system among the following. So we have options like xylem, phloem, parenchyma, epidermis. Tissue system yavdu? So in plants, there are three types of tissue system, that is epidermal tissue system, then ground tissue, then vascular tissue. So epidermal tissue system includes the epidermal cells, outermost layer. Along with this, the trichomes and even the root hairs, as well as the guard cells are also. And ground tissue from the hypodermis. Then what we have, cortex, then the pith, then the endodermis, the pericycle. All this will be under ground tissue. So vascular tissue system consists the xylem and phloem. So xylem is a tissue, phloem is a tissue, parenchyma is a tissue, epidermis is the tissue system. So that's the right answer. So that's about for today's session, and I hope you have done well, and keep it going, and have the spirit of learning, and continuously you have to work out for your whatever the mistakes are then, that's it should not be repeated. So almost 11 papers you have completed, and I think one paper you are going to attend offline, so that will be having a practice for your main examination. Okay, if possibly for the question paper or the grand test 12 for discussion, we will be meeting in the next session. Till then, take care, prepare well, have a nice time.